Hello everybody. Welcome. Thank you for joining me. It is Jen here from Infinite You, and I am here to talk to you guys about traditional counseling, both individual and marriage counseling, and why it didn't work for me. Those of you who are new, my name is Jen Wood. I am the founder of Infinite You. I am a empowerment coach and energy healer, and I work with compassionate, heart-centered women who are struggling to be all things with all people, who are losing themselves in the process. I work with them to help build their confidence and take that negative inner voice and help transform it from critical to confident. So welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm really excited to talk to you guys today. A little bit nervous too, I suppose, because I get really vulnerable, and I learned that the importance of sharing my story with people, and how important it is to be open and help other people who are struggling and suffering from whatever it is that they're going through, that they're not alone. So if you just bear with me for 1 second, I just want to share into my private group, which is my Infinite Juju group. It is a women's only group that I have. It's a safe space for women to ask questions and get healing and share stories. So I will post the link as well after, but I know some of them like to watch in that safe space as well. Hey Nikki, thanks for joining. I see some people are hopping on, so welcome. Sorry. Always say hi. I love to see who hops on and watches. Feel free to comment, say hello, let me know you were here. I always like to welcome everyone. So I'm going to talk to you guys today about why. My camera. Okay. Hey Lindsay. Hello Emmeline. I see you joining on too. Awesome. You guys are awesome. So I want to start by saying that I am not here to trash talk counseling at all. I'm not here to talk about why you shouldn't choose counseling or why counseling is bad. I'm just telling you why it didn't work for me. That doesn't mean it doesn't work for some people, and that doesn't mean you shouldn't ever do it. If anything, I'm actually grateful for the experience that this counseling session gave me, because it didn't work for me, it allowed me to seek out alternative methods of healing, which actually brought me on my journey and got me to where I am today. So even though it didn't work for me, it served such a huge purpose in my life, having that bad experience. So I am truly grateful for it. So please know, for those of you who are seeing a counselor, who are considering seeing a counselor, I'm not here to try to convince you or talk you out of it. I'm just here to share my story, why it didn't work for me, and what I found was a better option for me. So please, I just want to be very clear on that right now. So some of you know my story already and some of you don't, so I will give you a quick overview. About 5 years ago, I was struggling with severe anxiety, depression. I was in probably one of the darkest spaces I have ever been. I was suffering and struggling, and I didn't have any, I don't want to say I didn't have hope, but like I had hope. I just didn't know how being hopeful was possible. So I struggled with depression. My husband and I were on the brink of divorce after being married for a whopping 2 years. My whole life was falling apart, and I felt like I was dying inside, and I was dying inside. And that was in 2012, and everyone was talking about 2012 was like the year that the world was ending, according to the Mayan calendar. And I joke because it was the year my world ended, and was great because 2013 was like when my new life began. So it's such a blessing. So basically, for myself, my husband and I were having a lot of struggles. We were arguing all the time. We were not in a good place, and we had both gone through separations before. We both had parents who had separated. We both had so many walls built around us that like we didn't stand a chance because we were focused solely on keeping ourselves safe, which was like keeping ourselves closed. So being in a relationship, whether it be a marriage or a friendship or anything, when you have those walls around you that like everything is closed, there is no openness for that relationship to actually blossom. Everything is just kind of like bouncing off the surface. And it's no wonder that we were struggling as much as we were. So out of desperation, we decided to go and see a marriage counselor. To be honest with you, I don't even know how we found this person, and it's nothing personal against him. I don't remember his name. I really don't remember anything about him, but I think my husband found him. So we had went, and we had gone individually first. I believe it was individually first and then as a couple. Either way, we had some one-on-one time and then we had some couple time. And the first time they did a personality assessment. So it was like a series of questions that we both had to answer so that he could really kind of gauge where we were emotionally, like where we were struggling and what our problems were. So I'd done this test and it came back that I was struggling with severe anxiety and depression. And the counselor actually suggested that I rewrite the test when I was in a better frame of mind, which was such a strange suggestion to me because I'm like, I was giving it my all when I was answering these questions because I was so desperate for help and to be fixed. And then I was told to redo it. So like already that was like a huge kind of crush. It was like, okay, so now you're just confirming I'm as fucked up as I think I am, and you want me to pretend I'm not. So that was kind of like my strike one. But still being like desperate and just so open and willing for help, I redid the test. I lied through the whole thing. It came back. I was still suffering from anxiety, depression, but it wasn't as severe because like I lied. So, and that was a breaking point too, because it was like, even though I lied through it, I'm like, oh God, you're still telling me I'm this fucked up. Like I can't even fake it to myself anymore. So the counselor or therapist, I don't know what you want to call him, but the guy, he had suggested that I see my family doctor, and he wanted me to go on antidepressants. And again, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with antidepressants. I know that they are such a huge contribution to many people who are struggling, and it wasn't a path I wanted to go down. I felt that I could fix myself. I just didn't know how. So I didn't want to do that route. I didn't want to go the prescription route. I was okay. I knew that I was depressed, but I wanted to feel either that sadness than nothing. Because to me, I didn't want to mask my sadness. I was like, I want to face this like sadness and depression like head on. I just want to like tackle it and get rid of it. I didn't want to mask it. I didn't want to pretend it wasn't there. So that was like my individual time. And then my husband and I went together for our marriage counseling. And I mean, have you ever just like sat around with your girlfriends and like have a big bitch fest, right? And we all like shit talk our husbands and like we complain about our jobs and we bitch about our kids and blah, blah, blah. And like, you don't actually feel that much better when you're done because you're basically like bringing up all this shit that you've been holding on to, but you're not actually clearing it. And that's what it was like in our counseling session. It was like we had to give him like a summary of what it was that we were struggling with, why we were struggling, how we got there. So basically we were just taking all of our past and just like rehashing it, digging it up and like bringing it back up again. So now it's like you're reliving all those terrible memories that you thought you would let go and you didn't. And now you're even madder because you're like, I forgot how much of an asshole you really are. So we would go and we would talk about all this stuff, and we were bringing up all these emotions, and like we were talking about everything and expressing our feelings and our emotions, but we weren't releasing the emotions. We were just talking about them. I wasn't doing anything. So we're expressing how we feel, and then time was up, and then you hold on to all those emotions again for like 2 weeks until your next session, and then hopefully you can get through it then. But when you go home, you're pissed off. You're pissed off because you're like, I forgot that you did that. I forgot that you said that to me. I forgot how much you made me mad that day, and I can't forgive you for it. So it was such a struggle for us because I didn't want to relive the past. I wanted to change the future. And I mean, granted, maybe I didn't give it a good enough chance, but I'm grateful I didn't, because it allowed me to start searching for what else is possible. And that's what got me on my journey. And I found this amazing woman who taught me EFT. And she absolutely changed my life. I went for my first session with her. We did the tapping, and like I cried. I let it all out there. And I was able to release the emotions that I've been holding onto for so long. And that was the great thing about the EFT for me, was that it was like, you can't change the past. You can't eliminate the memories. But what we can do is we can let go of the emotion attached to those memories. And there's a quote somewhere, and I'm probably going to butcher it, but it's along the lines of like, you know, when you can tell your story without crying, that's when you know that you've healed. Because the memory is still there, but I can talk about it now without feeling like I want to throw up, without fighting back tears, because I was able to release the emotions that were attached to it, if that makes sense. So I started doing the tapping, and it was like changing my life, absolutely changing my life. But the problem is that that was like my part, and I was changing my life. But there was still this kind of like couple issue, right? Where I was like, wait a second, like you're still kind of a piece of shit, and I'm like trying to change and get myself better, but like you're not great either. So you need to start working on stuff. And no offense to my men listeners, but in my experience, I have found women to be far more open to these kind of techniques than men are. It's not to say that men don't, and maybe women are just kind of more of my people, but I was doing all this work, this self-care, and my husband was very supportive of it because he saw the improvement that was making in my life. But he didn't think that he needed to do that. It was like kind of like my thing that I had to do. So I stopped doing the tapping. I didn't want to do it anymore. I was pissed off. I was resentful. And it ended up causing a separation for us. And we separated for a few months. And that was the change that he started to realize that, you know, maybe he needs work too. So he went to the same lady in Brantford and went through the EFT and went through the tapping and realized how much stuff he was holding on to that he had to clear for him to be a better person and a better spouse. So again, I'm not saying that counseling doesn't work. What I struggled with was reliving those emotions and not doing anything about them. And like I said, when you're talking with your girlfriends and like you're just like bitching, and it's really nice to vent and unleash and just kind of like get those feelings out there. But if you're not releasing the emotion, the venting isn't helping. It's basically just contributing more energy to the problem. So that's why with a lot of my clients, when we have a conversation, when we have a coaching session, they tell me what's going on. They bitch about that heavy shit that's just like weighing on them. And then we tap it away and we clear it. And it actually shifts the energy in them so that they can start making better choices as well. So if I'm not sure if you guys are interested, I'm actually was thinking about doing a live stream coaching session. So if you guys are interested at all to see what it looks like to work with me to get a one-on-one session, put a 1 in the comments, because what I'm doing is I got a volunteer from my private Juju group, and in exchange for a free session from her, we are going to live stream it so that you guys can see exactly how this work is done, how to clear the emotions, how to let go, and really start embracing that change, start embracing that freedom, and like just letting the shit go. Because as soon as you can let go of that baggage that you've been carrying around that's been weighing so heavily on you, like you actually start to see the world from a completely different perspective. And sorry, Lindsay, it was so helpful to see you, Dad. Yeah, so yes, and I'm gonna do it like a full one-on-one session, Lindsay. I'm gonna do it next week, I think. So, and I don't know this woman, so I basically just like kind of like had people send me emails and let me know what they're struggling with and where they need help. And the woman I chose, I know nothing about her. I don't know where she lives. I know her name and like what she's kind of like where she's struggling, but like I don't know details or anything, because I want you guys to see, like, if you're a stranger to me, that like even if I don't know you, how much we can change and shift because of like your openness and your willingness to clear it. Jen, I think I need to give EFT. Emmeline, I'm telling you, we're going to work on the meditation, and that's great, but definitely give the EFT another chance, because it is brilliant. It's brilliant. And Emmeline, it's okay if it wasn't your thing, because EFT is not necessarily the be-all, end-all. It's like, it's bringing up the emotion to release it. It doesn't have to be through EFT. I have like a ton of other ways that we can release that as well. Shifting your mindset and meditation and everything like that. EFT is just something that I love and I'm passionate about. But if you guys want to see that, I will put a 1 in the comments, and I will notify you personally and let you know when that live is going to be happening. Because I'm nervous as hell to do it, because I've never done anything like that before. So it's kind of like scary to just like throw it on Facebook Live when I don't know what I'm getting myself into. But I mean, this is what I do. I never know what I'm getting myself into when I'm dealing with a client, and that's okay, because no matter what you're going through, no matter what you're struggling with, there's your willingness to shift, your desire to want to change, your willingness to be open is all you need to create the shift that you're looking for. So I hope that was helpful. I am going to keep you guys posted when I do that live stream, because I think the woman that I chose, I think her struggles so many of us can relate to, male or female. If you and don't think this is just for women, because so it's feelings of insecurities, of not feeling good enough, of just like struggling to just like be you and like know that you're great, know that that you're enough is really what the goal is. So if you watch, whether live or on the replay, and you come along and do the tapping and just kind of listen to the session, I guarantee you are also going to have some dynamic shift and dynamic change as well. So let me know if that is helpful. Oh shoot, sorry, my phone's okay. Sorry guys. So yeah, so if you're interested, let me know. Again, I'm not trying to talk you out of counseling, but personally, I find it to be such a huge contribution to, especially because I'm a highly emotional person. I mean, I can hold a grudge, and I can hold a grudge for a very long time. And if I don't release the emotions that I'm holding on to, that's how we get sick, guys. That's how we get sick in our body, is carrying that heaviness, that anger, that frustration, that hate, that stress. Carrying that's how we get sick in our bodies. And we need to let that shit go. You need to let that shit go. So, thank you all for joining me today. I would love to hear from you. So if you have any questions, either post below or feel free to private message me. My calendar is on my Facebook page if you want to book a session, or if you just want to chat a little bit more about it. I'm always happy to talk. So reach out. I would love to hear from you. I hope you guys have a great night.